see here. I have stuff everywhere. Everything is a disaster. That's what happens when you keep getting new stuff and you're not getting out fishing. It all just kind of piles up and creates a mess that you end up having to sort out last second, right before you go out the door when you finally do have the chance to go fishing. I think I have everything out that was part of the plan to discuss for. Wow, that's really squeaky. That was ready to discuss for this week or this month. But here we are, live for July. Really wanted to be on the bank, but I ended up working this morning. So I had to just rush home from work, get here, get everything in place. I haven't actually been on the bank for a couple weeks. Grimy Fishing, good to see you there. So yeah, I haven't been doing much fishing at all lately. And I've kind of just had stuff kind of collecting. So we're going to go over some of the new gear, what little bit of fishing I have done. But yeah, I'm a little bit out of breath because, like I said, I just rushed home from work, and I've also been pretty under the weather the last couple weeks. I'm really having a tough go with things. Dave Newman, good to see you there. You working today? About time. You're never at work. You're always out fishing. But yeah, with the heat out there lately, it's been tough. So a lot of my work, I'm doing a lot of welding, so I'm preheating a lot of stuff, doing a lot of welding really right there with the intense heat on an already hot day, not much airflow. I'm not getting out to get those breaks on the bank that I need. And a lot of that's just catching up with me, on top of some really bad colds that I had settle in, really bad chest cold and stuff. So yeah, unfortunately, I've been kind of worn out and ill and not able to go fishing. I did get out for 3 hours last Sunday morning, really early. It was more of a walk than anything else. 4 kilometers of walking and fishing my way around a big peninsula. I had fish swirling on every lure I threw at them, and never managed to actually land them or even really get them hooked up until right at the very end. I managed to get one little smallmouth bass. But I was trying to film the use of those recast fishing lures that I got kind of earlier in the spring there. I could not believe how crazy the fish were going after them. The actions were great. Castability was great. The fish were going after them, but they were all short striking. And it wasn't until, like I said, right at the end, one of the lipless crankbaits managed to trip one up, and I was able to get one fish. But filming that did not go well. And the last 2 matches that I've done, tried to film those as well. And one was plagued by a lot of problematic camera issues. The other one was a lot of really nasty wind and rain and all kinds of crap weather. And I didn't do well in that match. So filming wise, it's been really tough to actually get any new content for what little bit of fishing I have actually done. So we're working on that. Dave and I did get out probably a month ago now at this point, and we tried to film a little one-on-one match using something completely foreign to us, and that didn't work out. One of the primary camera filming all of that didn't capture the footage the way it was supposed to. But he went back the next day and filmed So when he's got time, he's going to put that video together, and hopefully we can make something out of the 2 sessions. That's kind of how things have been going. He's not getting out much. I'm not getting out much. And, I kind of miss catching fish. It's been tough. LP, good to see you there. Yes, Dave Newman, you do have way too many holidays. Galen, good to see you. But like I said, even though I've kind of been under the weather, not getting out fishing, a little burnt out, not able to get any real new footage that's useful shot lately, I have had a lot of equipment coming in. A lot of it relates to the match fishing side of things that I've been getting into more and more. Obviously, there's definitely opportunities for me to use a lot of the same stuff for bigger carp and even some other species. So I'm quite excited about a lot of this. There's really no part of these that I'm not excited about, but obviously some things I'm more excited than others. So before I start jumping into all this really cool gear, these things back here, some really cool stuff here, another rod I think I mentioned was on its way the last time I spoke with you. This is part of one of these items. I'll show you that. I got a bunch of little bits and bobs here and more stuff behind me. Even some of the bait stuff we'll go over, and just kind of touch on what I've been kind of trying to learn as we go. But before we really dive into all that, how has the fishing been for all of you guys except for LP? Because I already know, because he won't stop posting about it in some of the private chats we're in. So I've seen all the fish that LP's catching, and nothing big, nothing major. But how's everybody else doing? Dave Newman, you've been having a great year. That's good. Grimy, I've been seeing a lot of your posts. You were crushing crappie there for quite a while. So you've really been on the panfish. Galen, I know you've been out and doing some underwater filming. So what about everybody else? Who has had any kind of really great captures or really great sessions lately? Oh, and Dave got me hooked on this stuff. This Arnold Palmer half and half iced tea lemonade. I don't drink lemonade. I hate lemonade. But I do like a lot of different iced teas. This is the first iced tea lemonade mix that I've had that doesn't taste like lemonade. This one tastes like iced tea with just that hint of lemon to it. It's really good stuff. Really, really refreshing. Dave Newman, 2 to 3 nights a week, 1 full day most weekends. My goodness. I am getting not even a full day, because it's a rush out and a rush home. So the last few matches I've done, I've managed to get some 6-hour sessions, and I've not been getting out for evenings at all. I've been coming home and just falling asleep, waking up at 3 a.m, waiting for time to go to work again. But just too burnt out. Man, I miss those days, going out 2-3 times a week. Definitely 1 full day a weekend. I got to get back to more of a routine like that myself. Grimy, last weekend in Tilsonburg, I finally caught a good bass, 4.3 pounds on a custom balsa popper, fish shallow over bluegill beds. That is a good bass. Nice. The custom balsa popper did you make that or a friend of yours? Yeah, Dave, it definitely does relieve the stress. I need to kind of get back to that routine. Like I said, I've not been overly stressed lately. I've actually been starting to get better in that area, but I'm very, very tired. Really, really tired. The heat waves we've been hit with lately have really done a number on me. Again, apologize for the coughing. I haven't quite come out of these these colds yet. I'm glad to hear you guys are catching that 4.3 pounds. That's a really good bass. Dave, I know you're catching fish because you go to spots where there's fish to catch. I might have to invade some of those spots with some of the new gear to just kind of push the limits of it and see how it goes. But yeah, this new whole match fishing world, I'm kind of getting that rush like when I first got into that whole Euro style carp fishing. That's specimen carp fishing using the bite alarms, the bait runners, and the big pit reels. Using bobbins and specialized nets and stuff like that. I'm getting a good dose of that rush of learning something new, adding to my skill set as an angler. And, we all love cool gear. That's bred into us as anglers. We either like to make our own stuff or buy all the coolest stuff we can. I'm not one for electronics much. I don't get all wound up and excited over boats and stuff like that. But that new gear that you can hold, like new style rods, reels, lures, rigs, stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff I really get into. And I've just been grabbing up all kinds of cool little things. So I think in the last live stream, I might have mentioned that in the second match we did this season, with the Match Anglers Club locally here, one of the guys that kind of runs things and kind of manages things, and very, very skilled angler, Justin, he let me use a 9.5 meter elasticated whip. Basically, it's just a pole that doesn't come apart. 9.5 meters long, elastic that comes out the end. And that was one of the coolest sessions I've ever had, playing fish on elastic and not a reel. It was very much like when I was a kid and I used like a long bamboo rod that I had bought from the corner store for like $10 with bobbers and hooks and stuff. And I just took that out for panfish. But here I was doing this for small carp and catfish. And I think I mentioned before, had I not fished with that setup, I probably would not have caught at all that day. That made all the difference in the world with the precision of how I had to fish that. And immediately I was hooked on that. And I put in an order for my own 9.5 meter pole that I can rig up with elastic and fish that way myself. That is right here. Now, this still has the plastic on it. I haven't actually fished with this yet. This is a Daiwa Tri-Force 9.5 meter pole. I do have to do the custom work on the end of putting in little bushing at the bottom, or in the very tip, so that I can run elastic through it. And as I'm learning about elastics, oh my goodness, that's a rabbit hole. You've got your original like slip elastic, which is like a solid elastic. It comes in lots of different grades. This one is a 16. Then you've got hybrid elastics. What do I got here? I got an 11, a 17, and a 19. So their grades dictate their strength level. So that one is pretty thin. You go to the heavier ones, it gets a little thicker. And yeah, this one's a 19. This is like really thick. This one's 2.6 millimeters thick. And these things stretch. And then if I go into the hollow elastics, it stretches like 10 times its length. So if I got like a 1 meter section, I can stretch that out to 10 meters. So you can imagine how cool that would be when you hook a fish and it just takes off and you don't have a reel. It's just you're playing the elastic. It's really cool. What we got here? Grimy, I buy hand-carved baits made by Marty Burns, Big M Crankbaits on Instagram down in the US. He makes them, and TK Stanley, Tacklecraft on socials, paints them. Very cool. Very cool. I'll have to check those guys out on Instagram. I want to pull like that too. I watch a guy from the UK that live streams his match fishing. I watch a few different ones myself. There's a lot, and it seems to be ever growing. I watch Bag Up TV with David Wood. His buddy Alan Norrish, I watch his channel. I can't remember what his channel is off the bat. I'm subscribed to it. It's like Fishing UK TV or something like that. I do follow a lot of match anglers. I actually learned about match fishing. I think I mentioned this before. I learned about match fishing quite a few years before I knew about specimen carp fishing. So this is something that I've been wanting to get into for a long time, but I couldn't figure out how to get this stuff. I didn't know anybody in the area who knew how to use it until I started following and meeting up with the people at our local match club now that it's kind of gotten back up and running last year. But yeah, as I said, after I used that one during that match, and it made such a difference on my day and gave me such an amazing experience fishing in that way. There was lots to choose from. And these things, believe it or not, this size and even like smaller, like 4 and 6 meter ones, these things range from like $30 to like $6,000 for like the small ones, not even the big fancy like 16 meter ones. It depends on, the quality of the carbon, the material, and I guess where it's coming from in some cases. But I could not believe how much these things cost. When we talk about that one there, we'll go into a little bit more of it. This one, I thought, I didn't want to get a super cheap one, but I don't have the budget to be spending a fortune on anything insane, especially since, I can't fish with this as much as I would if I didn't have like a long, harsh 6-month winter here in Canada. I intend to try this in a few spots in the wintertime if I have some mild weather, but, doing maybe a dozen matches in the year and a little bit of pleasure fishing in amongst the other styles of fishing that I like to do, I can't justify a huge cost. So this one, 9.5 meters, this is amazingly light. This one is much lighter than that one, even though that one is a little bit longer, just because this is much, much newer. This is brand stinking new. I think I paid $130 for this before the shipping cost, like $20 or $30 shipping. This came from Spain, bounced up through France, shipped from the Netherlands. This thing took a month to get here. It was ridiculous. While I'm waiting for this one, I had another match where I fished the Waggler and the method feeders and stuff like that. Did very poorly. Did not have a good day at all. Got my ass handed to me by Justin as per usual. And the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, if I would have had this in that swim on that session, definitely would have done better. Daniel Maravali, haven't seen your name pop up in a long time. Good to see you there. How many top sections? This one just has the top section that's in it. It was listed as a coop rod, listed kind of like it was just a whip, but it's a pull apart like a regular pole. So this one's just got the top kit that comes in it. So the top two sections that slide inside each other. I'm not going to be going insane with this one, so I wasn't worried about not getting the extra top kits for this. This one, however, while I was waiting for that one to show up, I just dug around for deals on eBay UK, looking for anybody that had deals on used poles from the UK, even if they're older, that had more than one top kit. Now the top kit, again, people like Daniel who know this equipment. Some of you guys from the UK know this equipment. But for anybody who doesn't, the top kit is the last section where your elastic is, and that's the last part of the pole that you kind of do your last bit of playing the fish on. This one I found on eBay for a really good deal. The guy was willing to ship it to Canada for quite a low price compared to most of the other people. I sat on this for probably 3 or 4 days before I finally decided to pull the trigger. This is a 13-meter Avanti stand and deliver pole that I'm guessing is probably 15 or 20 years old. This is quite heavy for its length compared to the newer ones or the higher cost ones. But at some point in time, this was probably a pretty decent one to get. And this one came with 3 top kits, which is why I jumped on it. So after all was said and done with shipping from the UK, it was like $270. So still quite a bit of, for the budget. But the guy was really good and got this to me in like 4 days, 5 days. I had to dig for the deals. I found another one of these poles, exactly the same, with one top kit, and they wanted $300 for the pole and like another $150 for the shipping. So that was a big no. If I'm going to spend over $400, I want something newer, something better, or something that I can buy more top kits to go with. These are older style. It's not that, the high-end match poles or the really high-end margin poles. I'm learning. This is new for me. So I don't mind spending the money to get some stuff that I can beat up and really make an effort to learn on. And I got to use this in a match. Actually, the last match that I did. What I wasn't expecting was after the match, Justin looked at me and he's like, so what did you do? Fish around that 9 meter mark? And I was like, oh, no, I went right to the full 13. And, apparently that's kind of a big jump when you're not used to this sort of thing. And I definitely felt the challenge with the wind blowing across, but I have to say, fishing at 13 meters, holding this out, you got this kind of just under your forearm right at the end, sitting on your lap, and it's going out 13 meters. And you see that tiny little float. These tiny little floats. Look at that. You see that thing? It's the size of the end of my finger. You can barely see the bristle on top. You see that thing drop. What a rush. Because not only do you have to set the hook and you watch the elastic come out, but then you got to ship that whole thing back. And at that point, I didn't have pole rollers yet. I had made one out of a big wooden frame and a piece of aluminum pipe and a pool noodle. It's still in the van because it's big and bulky, and I I strapped it to like a wrought iron garden spike, and I stuck that in the ground behind me for the match and used that as my pole roller because I was waiting for these to show up. These are definitely, I understand now, essential. These ones I can just stick onto a bank stick, stick in the ground behind me, so that when you're shipping this thing back, you don't have to take all the sections off and put them down. I can ship back 10 meters, let it ride on these pole rollers like this, and then just take off the top kit to do the last little bit of playing the fish. As soon as I have another match where I can get the cameras to work properly where I'm using this, we're going to get some footage of how I fumble around with this and how these work. I've got another location, the location that Dave and I fished when we kind of had that little head-to-head challenge that didn't come out right with the footage, but was a lot of fun. I'm going to be going there as soon as I get a bit of free time, to actually use that pole, the 9.5 meter one, this new rod we're going to talk about in a few minutes. And there is one swim that's open enough that I can take this. And yeah, I really like this. I really, really find this style of fishing cool, and it's exciting because, you know, it's new gear, it's cool stuff. You guys seem to always love it when I'm playing with new toys. So we'll definitely get some more of that going. Seeing all that gear makes me want to get into it again. Yeah, you probably sold your million float collection, didn't you? Do you even have any floats left? From what I recall seeing your posts, you never stopped buying floats. And I have to say, I get it, because I'm starting to understand that problem. Got a whole bag of these tiny little things. Like, these are cool, man. These are so cool. These are little Daiwa floats. Let me see the light here. I don't quite understand the rating system. These are like 4x10s. Like, look at how small these floats are. They hold like the tiniest of shot. I got a bunch of these like pre-tied rigs so that I can learn more. These are different style floats, so these are slightly longer body. Obviously can't be without Raven floats, just so I have different ones, the same ones that I would use for like steelhead. Let's see. These are some of the ones that Justin actually tied for me. This one I've used a couple times so far. That's a really cool float. And in some cases, you got to paint the orange or the yellow ends black just to see them. Never had to do that before, but because these things are so small, if there's too much light on the water and you can't see the color, you just black it out with a marker, and then you can see your float because they're so small. And at 13 meters, it's hard enough with my glasses on to see that far, but at 13 meters, and you get that slight bit of glare where the end of the pole is, or a shadow from the pole that you're not careful of, or there's a slight ripple on the water. Man, it's so hard to see your floats. These ones were given to me. These were custom floats made by, I believe his name's Jeff Turner. Daniel, you've probably got a whole bunch of floats from this guy. Been getting lots of different styled wagglers. I've been fishing with wagglers quite a bit. I've really like that style of fishing. I'm learning more about the rigging of these. This is really cool. This is I can use these really fine, well-tuned floats fishing with a rod. Really cool stuff. This is another one. This is kind of like a lower end one. This came with one of the little whip kits that I bought that Dave and I were using, little 3-meter whips. I've had a couple small carp with this rig. The other neat thing about these is that they also use like size 14 and size 16 hooks, the tiniest hooks that I haven't used since I was a kid, and I would fish for like minnows and smelt. So because I want to tie some of my own rigs, because that's what I like to do, I ordered some hooks. These are size 14 barbed eyed hooks, because a lot of the hooks, once you get down to this size, are spade hooks. So you have to tie your knot around the shank rather than through an eye. Look at how tiny these are. They're smaller than my fingernail. Yes, I've got gigantic fat freaking fingers, I know, but those are tiny hooks. But what a rush using this kind of new equipment, learning this stuff. That's one of the best parts about fishing, is learning this stuff new. This case, any of you guys who've had to do home improvements and had to pick up deck screws or something to put things together, get a long enough deck screws, they come in a big case like that. Wash it out, great for floats. Now, here's an example of one of the top kits that came with the Avanti pole, the 13-meter pole. So you've got, this carbon section here. And then the end of it is another section inside that comes to a very fine point with a little bushing on the end. It's got the elastic inside, and you got your little connector for your line. You can see the elastic. That fish bites, and if it's, not super puny, that is your drag. That's your system to play the fish and to help tire them out. And like I said, with the different grades of elastic, obviously some of them stretch more, some of them stretch less. Also, these are kind of tight. The pole showed up this way with these already pre-rigged, so I just went and used them. I didn't take the time to try and figure it all out yet, so I got some adjusting to do. But this end piece is telescopic, so this just slides out, and this is what then fits on to the end of the pole. I've got 3 of these for that 13-meter pole. This one. So I have this one with a slightly stronger elastic. So I'll put one of the rigs on that slightly larger float, slightly larger hook. If I notice carp in the margins, this will be the top kit I grab for that. The other top kit has got a slightly lighter elastic, so it can have a little bit more give for a smaller fish. So that one I'll use one of the really tiny floats with like a size 14 or a size 16 hook and like a little chunk of worm or something. So if I'm just going to be like trying to smack a bunch of catfish or bluegill or something like that, that'll be the top kit that I grab for that. The third top kit that came with this setup at some point must have been damaged, and this top section had a break. So what they've done is they've taken the top piece, slid it through the inside until it fits snug, and adhered it with some sort of adhesive. So it's slightly shorter and slightly more robust. So I have options with that. I can put a slightly tougher elastic in it, or, excuse me, what I did is I needed a bait delivery system. If I'm going to be fishing so stealthily with these poles, I don't want to just be throwing big balls of bait out there and making all kinds of noise. I'm trying to create a quiet situation to maximize the bites on pressured fish, right? Some of these ponds that we're fishing with a match club are getting a lot of pressure. And I think anybody who's fished with me or any of you guys have seen the videos, I fish like a bull in a china shop. I am not cautious. I'm very rarely quiet. I am just a giant ball of, I need to get a line in and get a fish in. So again, another thing to add to the skill set of trying to be more stealthy. And so watching some of the other guys in the match club that use these poles and watching the videos, a lot of these have what's called cup kits. So it's a top kit that has a little cup on the end, and you fill it with bait, ship it out, quietly drop it on the spot that you're going to be fishing, bring that back in, take that cup off, put your rig out, fish right over exactly where you dropped your bait, and boom. I don't have a cup kit, so I made one for this to slide over that third top kit. I raided the cupboards. My wife doesn't know yet. She hasn't noticed. If you tell her, we're never speaking again. These things were from when my kid was young. So one of his little plastic kid cups and a plastic straw. All I did was heat up and bore out the end of the plastic straw, slide it through a hole I drilled in the cup, and glued it. I wrapped it with tape so that it's less green and pink and looks a little bit cooler. And this slides over the end of the top kit, and I can put a little bit of tape around the end to hold it in place, or just pull some of the rubber elastic around and slide it into the end to help it grip. And I can ship this out with a handful of some of the bait. I'll show you that in a second that I've been using. Again, learned from Justin. Ship this out. You just turn the pole, dumps the bait out. Super precise, super quiet. Made a huge difference. So it's kind of a makeshift setup until I upgrade and get, proper kits and stuff like that for proper poles. But for now, it's doing the job. Speaking of the bait, so obviously, for those of you guys that did watch the match video that we posted a few weeks back, thank you all for all the great comments, the messages afterwards. Glad you guys really liked that. You would have seen there some of the baits that I was using in that match. I've kind of refined it down to what I really like to use specifically. Obviously, I always have sweet corn. Try to always have some worms with me. Those are just two givens in that kind of fishing scenario. But for the method feeders, I've been crushing up, whatever boilie of choice I'm using, whether it be the superfruit, the pineapple. The last one I was using which one did I use in the last one? Peach and sour cream, maybe? I think it was peach and sour cream. Been grinding that up and adding it to the stick mix or the ground bait from DT Baits. Mixing in some DNA liquid because you gotta. These nice oily liquids leave a nice slick on the water once the fish are getting in on the bait. So you want to know that. Pack bait ballers, good to see you there. So I've been grinding all that up and making a paste and using that paste on my method feeders. Or if I'm using a pellet feeder, I wedge it in there so that I can kind of have that take a little bit more time. Some of the hybrid feeders that have the walls that come up around the outside, just try and slow the breakdown time. So those pastes that are kind of made up of the boilies, crushed boilies and ground bait have been doing really well for me. Keeping fish in the area, getting bites. And the other thing that Justin's kind of got me on that he's been using is this kind of blended up hemp mix. So he takes some prepared hemp seed, blends it up into like a slurry, adds some hot water to it, and I think he added a couple other like spices and stuff like that to it. What I did is I also blended up some cream corn and mixed in some DNA liquid and came up with my own little kind of slurry mix. It looks the same, but this makes such a wicked cloud in the water when you ship it out with that little pole cup. The slick blows around with the wind. This stuff just kind of sinks down slowly, making a big cloud, and then just kind of disperses along the bottom. So you're getting all this attraction into your swim, no food items. And the other thing I've been then doing so that I don't have to do that too much is taking the 3 mil superfruit DT pellets, or in some cases the 7 mil, which I've also been putting in a band on the hook and trying. Haven't caught that way yet. It's not really what these fish are used to, but I'm trying it. But just using a little catapult and flinging the 3 mil pellets over so it's super quiet when they land. And it gives me just the tiniest bit of food items in there for the fish. I'm getting more and more bites. And using the stealthy approach with the poles, I'm learning a whole new thing here about being really, really precise. Not something I'm used to for quite a while. And I will say this over and over and over again. Small carp are so much harder to catch than big carp. I thought big carp was tough, at times. But it's easy to go out and catch 10 pounders. It's easy to go out and catch 15, even 20 pounders. 30 pounders, a little trickier, but if you pay attention to where you're going, you can get them. I had a couple 30 pounders already this year. You guys would have seen on the island video what an amazing trip that was. But trying to catch carp that are like 2 pounds and under going down to like just a few ounces. Oh my goodness, is that ever tough? And when you hook a carp that's this big and you bring it back to the net, there's just something so special about seeing that in your hand. You know, that's the next generation of carp. That one day could be 40 pounds. And you're looking at it and it's just so immaculate, like it's never been caught before. That is a rush. It is such a rush. And I'm so excited when I get those smaller carp. It's something that's really, really cool. Getting into match fishing can only improve all your other fishing. It's crazy how often our alarms lie to us and don't pick up much in the way of small indications. Absolutely. Two great points there, Galen. Absolutely. You know, here we are using these tiny floats and these tiny rigs that are super sensitive straight over top of where you're fishing. And every little indication drops that float under. Those are indications we're never going to see. Even if we are using smaller baits with our bite alarms and stuff like that, you know, that little half-pound carp, we may never hook that fishing the other way. But all of a sudden with this setup, you're catching them this big, up to several pounds, 10 pounds, 12 pounds. You know, I'm going to push it at some point. I'm going to put in a really heavy hollow elastic in one of these poles and go out and try and catch a 30-pounder. There is video online of Justin getting like a mid-20 on a 9-meter pole with, I think it was like a size 19 hollow elastic from just up the road from me a few years back. That looks like something I want to do. What a rush. Take a piece of carbon and a freaking rubber band and you land a mid-20 carp. That's exciting. So one of the things that I really wanted to kind of make an adjustment on with doing this lately, you know, this is great, but it's heavy. And when you're shipping out 13 meters a pole, you're getting a long bow. So you've got to kind of hold it up differently. It throws the balance off. So all of a sudden, something you can hold out all that way with very little pressure on your arms, this makes all the difference in the world and really make you strain when you're trying to take this out and tip the bait out, and then you got to bring it back. So obviously do this, you know, for the start of the match or as you're getting set up, put a fair bit out with this. But luckily for us, people have already thought about how much of a pain in the ass that is. And they've invented, they go by different names. Some of them are toss pots and cad pots and stuff like that. But they're little pots that they have these little notches in the bottom. And if you look, they slide over the pole. Let's see if I can block that light. They slide over the pole and stay attached to the pole. They're small. This is the medium size. They have different lids to dictate how the bait gets dispersed out. You can keep it right open. You know, this helps you slow it down with the delivery. But that can stay on there. So every time I ship in, you know, if I have to put new bait on the hook or adjust the top kit or I get a fish in the net, I can add a few pellets or a little bit of ground bait, a little bit of the paste, a little bit of that slurry into that, ship it out, and I can bait up a lot more often, just as precise, without the strain of changing the top kit and putting that big cup on. So I actually am looking forward to. I haven't put it on the top kit yet. Let's see how that looks. Knocking stuff all over the place. So this is kind of like a soft rubber, hard plastic little cap. Let's see here. Huh. You got to slide it back until it's snug, but that's not that far back from the tip. So when I'm shipping this out, I'll probably reach out, drop the bait, and then set back a little bit to fish right over top of the bait. But that just stays fixed on there, so I can turn that without much effort. Probably barely even feel that being out there. Then you're fishing just off of the end right here. That's about 6.5 inches in, so that's not going to make that much of a difference. Very, very cool. So yeah, learning this stuff is super, super exciting. Really, really digging this. I was going to say the next step is pole fishing big carp or float ledger fishing big carp. Yeah, I don't know, the float ledger thing. Haven't really got into that yet. Definitely some more waggler fishing for larger fish is something I want to get doing a little bit more. Used to catch a lot of carp under the float when I was younger. A lot of carp, a lot of suckers, believe it or not. Suckers will come up mid-water to take bait. It's weird watching them do it, but they definitely do it. But yeah, the pole fishing, definitely getting into that. But to pair with that, like I said, a lot of the fishing I've been doing is with the waggler and the method feeders. I've been using my 10-foot Riversiders, my nice trout rods with the method feeders, and they do the job. Don't get me wrong. They play fish well. They cast the method feeders well. Indication, however, has been the issue. I am not seeing a lot of the finer bites that I'm getting with those rods, as light action as they are. And I had to make an adjustment on that. I think I mentioned this last live stream, but I had a rod on order that, again, took weeks and weeks to show up. This is it's a 10-foot Daiwa Enzon method feeder rod. Pretty much suited for like 40-gram method feeders or smaller. This right here is what makes this rod so special. Now, I was quite surprised. I'm not going to put it together, but this rod is mostly backbone. I could not believe how much backbone there is there. And then you're looking at from about here up to the tip, you see the highlighted color tip there, is super light. Like super light. This is the indication you get on here when you get the little taps, little bumps from, little catfish or carp that are biting really shy. What a difference. The last match that I fished, I did quite poorly, but so did everybody else, so I didn't feel so bad. I was using really, really light setup on this, and I had one of the Riversider rods out there, and on the Riversider rod, I could not see the bites. Every now and then I'd pick it up and there'd just be a fish on, but I didn't see any actual bites. So I switched over to this, and I saw every single little nudge, the fine tip, these quiver tips. Some of these rods that are of this style, they have separate tips that you can take out and put in for different levels of sensitivity. I was blown away, completely blown away. And I'm going to end up having to get another one of these. I coupled this up with a Daiwa Laguna reel. It was just on the bargain table at Peter's Tackle, my local tackle shop. And they were kind enough to spool it up with 15-pound braid, which has the diameter of like a 3 or 4 pound test. So that's my main line going down to the rig that I was using. So I was using a method feeder with this, but as the bite got tougher and tougher, I found that even the method feeder was a little bit much. So I scaled it back even more I'll show you this rig if I can get it untangled here. So I have the main line going down to a swivel, and above the swivel, I have what's called an olivette, an inline olivette. Basically, it's just an inline lead of this style, kind of like a big reverse teardrop. Okay, this is a 6-gram lead sliding sinker, basically, kind of like an egg sinker, but it's really small. I've got a little bead just to kind of buffer that to the swivel. And then I've got a little piece of 4-pound test down to a size 12 Raven Specialist hook. I kind of finished out that match, and this is what got the majority of my bites in that last match. I only had, I think, 10 fish that last one. Casting this out with either a small piece of worm or a single grain of corn, casting this out and just slowly every couple of minutes, just dragging it a few inches, just to generate a little bit of movement, a little bit of disturbance on the bottom. And I was able to pick off, I think, 4 or 5 catfish fishing this way. Made a big difference, because trying to do this or trying to get a bite with the method feeder on the other rod, couldn't see any indication. This, I saw absolutely everything, and it made a big difference. The other 5 catfish I had were on the 13-meter pole. Again, with that tiny little float, would not have seen it fishing with a waggler, possibly. But yeah, like super light, super precise. I'm really, really enjoying it. This whole rod feels amazing. Man, if I was just, fishing with a really light jig for walleye, this would be like an ultimate light jig walleye rod too, I would think. So I'm quite excited to actually go out. I have a plan to take this rod out and fish with this rig, as well as a 10-gram method feeder, and kind of put this to work and do a little video of that as soon as I can get out. So yeah, this all this new gear, this new style of fishing, like I said, it's been quite a rush for me, and I'm really excited to be able to get out and do it, and also share the journey with you, just as I did as I learned about the specimen carp fishing. So it's one of those things where if I get something new, I show you guys. If I'm trying something new, I'm showing you how cool it is. And as I've gone along over the years, some of you have tried it, some of you liked it and stuck with it, some of you haven't, moved on to other things. But when we can share these kind of adventures, that's special. That's how the sport grows. That's how people get out of their comfort zone. And I have to say, switching from putting 3 rods out on Vital Arms, 3.5 test curve rods with 4-ounce leads, and just sitting back watching the birds, that's great. Don't get me wrong, I love it. But sitting on the edge of your seat with a 13-meter pole, watching a float that's the size of your fingernail, hoping that you can see that bristle go down or wiggle a little bit, that's intense. That is a rush, and I'm really excited to try and show you guys more of that as I learn it. How are we doing for time here? Just coming up on 2 o'clock. So we've been going almost an hour, 54 minutes or so. As I said, I just got home from work, and I'm kind of jumped in here. I have a very busy afternoon ahead of me into the evening, so I won't be staying on much longer. Again, appreciate all you guys being here in the chat, seeing what's going on. It's always good to see you month after month. John O'Connor never turned up. I'm going to call him out now because I know he's going to see this later. He told me last month, hey, shoot me a message before you go live to give me a heads up. I did, John. You didn't see it. I let you know. Let's just see. Just since you guys are all watching, he hasn't even seen the message yet. So he missed the start again. Sorry, John. But I did warn you ahead of time. Maybe only 15 minutes ahead, but I warned you. Excuse me. It's nice to see you do different things on the channel. Keeps things fresh. We can see your excitement. Well, I hope so. I hope my excitement comes across in this, because if you guys can see how much fun I'm having, then I know there's a higher chance that somebody will go out there and try it. I'm here. I missed it. You're going to have to watch this back, because I was just calling you out for that one, buddy. That's awesome. Oh, I clicked the wrong button there. Oh, yep. Still hasn't actually seen the message I sent you, John. I gave you the heads up. But yeah, I can't tell you guys how excited I am that once I can get out and get a couple sessions under my belt, we should have some really neat videos coming with this new gear. I do also, I just got to try and work it out with the missus. Her schedule is starting to get ramped up with her theater that she does in the evenings with rehearsals and stuff. That's going to be ramping up soon. So my evenings are going to get kind of tricky really soon. But I'm going to be trying to get out for an evening session soon with the carp rods. I mentioned it before, but and I think we even did an unboxing video. We got a whole pile of really cool products from Palatrax that came to us thanks to Galen there at ONT Carpin. I kind of have that set aside right now with my 3.5 test curve Daiwa telescopic rods, or the extendable rods. I just have to get baiting a spot on the river and work out with the missus when my evening session is going to be. And we're going to go out and we're going to try those Palatrax products. I want to use the stones. I want to use the grips hooks, because those grips hooks definitely have piqued my interest with something I want to try, because I want to see just what those hook holds are like, especially on those really crazy river carp. How well do they hold? And, some of the hook link material as well. So we're going to be doing that Palatrax product carp session very, very soon. Hopefully next week or the week after. That'll be an evening session coming up. Not sure when the next match is going to be, or if I can do the next one, because the Batmobile is going to have to go into the shop next week for some service. So I might not get to fish next weekend either. If that's the case, I do have some other projects I'm working on, some other things that I've been quite behind on for here. But we're definitely going to touch on that in August. August is kind of a big month for us here, because this coming August marks the official 10-year anniversary of the start of the Angler Files as a channel as it is now. The first episode was filmed in July, 10 years ago. And it was released on my personal channel that I had at the time, which no longer exists. And that was on for a week and had over 1,000 views, which blew my mind. And that's what gave me the confidence to realize, okay, you know what? We're going to give this a go and start a proper actual channel with an actual name, and see how people react to the videos. And I can't say how grateful I am that some of you guys have been around since the beginning, from episode 1, and you're still here with me 10 years later. So next month's live stream, we're going to try and make that a little bit of a big deal as best I can. Schedule wise, I just haven't been able to kind of, a lot of people were calling for trying to do a social or something like that, or some kind of event with a get together. My schedule is not coming together well enough for that. I apologize. I just can't arrange that right now. I'm barely even getting out fishing at all. if I can't even get out fishing, how am I going to arrange a big social? But we're going to try and do something special for the 10-year the 10-year anniversary that we're going to celebrate during next month's live stream. I still have to find out if that falls on a day that I have to work or what's going on, but we'll do something cool. We haven't done a giveaway for a long time. The last giveaway we did, trying to send those baits out, that was a nightmare. They got shipped back to me, I think, 3 times before they finally just didn't come back, but I never heard if they ever arrived at the final destination. So I haven't done a giveaway since. It's been several years now, probably 4 or 5 years at this point. So I think what we're going to do is, if we're going to come up with some sort of giveaway, we'll figure out some way to make sure it's something that's not going to have an issue with any kind of customs problems. But I'm not sure yet. I'm going to talk to Dave. We're going to bounce some ideas back and forth. And we'll do something special for the August live stream. Dave has an amazing idea to do a live broadcast. I don't remember if it was here or on Instagram, but the idea he has is something that I know, I'm almost 100% certain that nobody else has done it. Certainly not with that style of fishing, and certainly not in this area. So if we can make that work, that could be really cool. But again, thank you all for sticking around this long. Thank you all for jumping in these monthly live streams since we've been doing them. I love seeing you guys all not just interact with me and share your sessions, have your questions, whatnot, but how you guys interact with each other is always great. So I'm really, really grateful for all of that. We'll be back on Rice Lake in August, and we'll get your rig back in again for a better test. The footage you will enjoy. Oh yeah, just so you guys know, we mentioned this a while back, but Galen has some of my rigs that he's put in front of the underwater cameras. So I guess there's already been one go, but I haven't seen the footage yet. We're going to do a bit of a collaboration to see how that goes. But got right there, he's going back in August to try again. So hopefully we get different results there, and that can be just as exciting. So we do have that coming, and all of that should be on Galen's channel. So if you're not already following ONT Carpin, correct that issue and start following Galen over there. Another shout out we want to give, if you're a member of the Canadian Carp Society, the annual social is coming up in September. Now, the last few that we've done up on the St. Lawrence have been fantastic. I think, I don't know if we've done 2 or 3 now. We've done a few of them now. And before that, we did a YouTuber social that kind of helped kick that off and get that going, because a lot of the same people were there. And these socials have been a huge hit, and they've been a lot of fun. This year has gone and done something special, like even more special than our CCS socials have been. Yes, we are having a social up on the St. Lawrence in September. Tickets are available on the CCS store. So if you're a member, you can go in there, you can get your tickets and start planning ahead now for your schedule. You're going to want to be there. Every year it's been a really great time. However, if getting to the St. Lawrence River is not practical because, you're not in Ontario or Quebec, let's say you're in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, or even BC, yes, you guys have a long drive, but excuse me, we are having a second social. So there is going to be another CCS social that happens. I believe it's the weekend before. Still in September, but there is a CCS social happening in Saskatchewan for all of you Western members. If that's something that you want to try and make, details are on the CCS site. Tickets are available on the CCS store in the website. got to be a member to go to these socials. Okay. Spaces are limited, usually to like 20, 25 anglers. You don't have to fish, but things are set up so that you can fish at these socials. You know what? Galen might be able to correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't been in the store for a bit. One thing we did last year, if you're a member, but you're not going to be an angler, you're just going there to, hang out. Non-angler tickets were available last year. So you could get a slightly lower priced ticket and then go and be there for part of the social. So I don't see those this year. I don't know if that's something that's going to come up as a possibility. Okay, yes, we do have limited number of non-angling guests available at $30 a ticket. So if you want to go for those tickets, you have to get in contact with the admins. There's a link right there in the store when you go to buy your tickets. So there's definitely some options there. But it's going to be exciting. We've got the Ontario social happening right there in the St. Lawrence Seaway. Fantastic location. Really excited. It's actually one of the islands there that I haven't fished yet. The Saskatchewan social is going to be happening on Last Mountain Lake. Let me just bring that one up. And it's going to be at Underwood Camp. So any of you guys who follow the Saskatchewan Carp Kings page, it's going to be probably promoted like crazy there as well. If you guys are some of our Western members and you can make it, that's going to be a really cool trip. And obviously at these socials we try to have different things happening, giveaways. Sometimes there's like a friendly competition. I believe there's some other activities going on that on the Saskatchewan one that might not be happening in Ontario. But if you're a member of the Canadian Carp Society, you don't want to miss these socials. That's one of the common things we hear when the socials are over. Everybody comes back, they're posting their photos, they're talking about the great time they had, and then the people that couldn't make it are just sitting there like, oh, I really should have went. And then we see them the next year. Don't miss out. Okay. Some tickets have already been sold for Saskatchewan, it looks like. So let's get the rest of them sold. If you're not already a member, but this sounds like something you want to get in on, it doesn't cost much to join up and become a member. Buy your membership, become a member, go into the store, buy a ticket for the social, book the time off, get your butt up there, see what it's all about. Let's just take a look here at the Ontario one. Yeah, there's even less tickets left for the Ontario social. So again, opening it up to have a second social this year is a big deal for us. Being able to share these exciting kind of events with our Western members, getting you guys together when you're so spread out. It's not like here in Ontario where so many of us are just within a few hours drive. Some of you guys are like a full day's drive away from each other. This will be the perfect opportunity to spend a few days with your fellow carpers that, you might be in the same province in, but you're like an 8-hour drive away. Let's try and do the get-togethers when we can. This is a perfect opportunity for you guys to not only get to a really cool spot and potentially get into some really good fish, but you get to hang out with each other. You're not as spoiled as we are here, where I can literally walk 5 minutes and be at another member's house. We're kind of lucky here to have each other around. So yeah, if that's something you're interested in, definitely get in on that. And then socials aside, just the articles, the videos, the social platform where we can all interact with each other. We've got the summer SSF coming up at the end of the month. Signups are open for that. We're already adding teams and solos to the leaderboard. Get your name in if you don't want to miss out on that event. Excuse me. Yeah, lots going on. Hopefully this heat wave will break before we get the summer SSF, because I don't know. I hate fishing in the really, really hot weather. Makes it a lot tougher. I do enjoy the challenge, but we don't see as many big fish that we do in the spring and in the fall. So, if you're somebody who typically you struggle to find those 30-pounders in the spring and fall, the summer event is your event. Okay. If you can catch 20-pounders pretty consistently, you're a leg up on a lot of anglers for the summertime. Those bigger fish are hard to find. So if you can get out the end of July, beginning of August, and go out and catch a couple of 25-pounders, you're more likely to do really well in the standings during the summer event, because just not as many of the 30s come out. Sometimes we have, over 20, 30-pounders that come out in our spring event, 12, 15 that come out in the fall event. But, summertime, a handful, if any. It's a lot tougher to get those big fish. So those people that can consistently produce those mid-sized fish tend to do better in the summer event. So if that's you, sign up, get on the bank. Okay, here we are. We're about 2:15. We've been going just over an hour. I have a lot to do the rest of the day. I'm going to wrap this up now. Again, thank you all for being here. Thanks for listening to me ramble about, everything that's going on with the Carp Society, all the latest gear that we've got. I'm going to do my best to get out on the bank soon. We got lots of great ideas to try and put together. Time is the tricky part. But I'm going to try and show you guys as much of this cool stuff as I can over the next few weeks. So for now, we're going to wrap this up. We'll try and plan something special and do something cool for August's live stream. So look forward to seeing you guys all then. I will try and get some notifications out on our community page a little bit earlier, maybe a couple of days ahead, to remind everybody about the live stream when that's coming up. Instead of like I just did to John 10 minutes before I started today. We'll try and get a heads up. I'll see if I can figure out a way to either have some guests chime in. Maybe there's a way I can do some split screens or something like that. We'll figure it all out. I'll look into possibly a giveaway if I can make it happen. We'll come up with something cool for August, because August is going to be a big deal around here. So thank you all for not just joining me for today, but for being around for as long as you have. We really, really do appreciate it. And, I can't thank you enough. We're going to wrap this one up for today. Keep watching the channel. We got new videos coming. Got new videos to make. And a lot of new gear to put through the ringer. So, stick around. We'll see you then. Thanks all of you guys for being in the chat. Sorry, I'm still rambling because my screen just collapsed and I can't find my end button. Yeah, Galen, John, Daniel, Packbait Ballers, Grimy, Dave Newman, all you guys. Thanks for all being in there. We'll try and wake Doug and Tim up to make sure they're in for the August one as well. We haven't seen those guys for a while. We got to see them again.